What's up, guys? It is Stefan here, and it's a great privilege to have with me the one and only Greg, the voice of motorsport in South Africa. It's actually our first season episode of the new season. I had me and my co-host were a bit busy, and yeah, Greg, thank you for having the time and chatting to me. It's a great privilege to have you on F1 in Afrikaans.
Absolute pleasure to be here, Stevie. It's good to catch up, and let's see if we can make some wings fly or the chicken wings, eh?
Yeah, no, definitely. Greg, I want to ask you, what's your opinion about the season for Formula One so far?
Are we allowed to use expletives on this podcast?
No.
Am I allowed to use an Afrikaans one?
Yeah.
It starts with K.
Yeah. No, I think we all agree it is not what we all expected to be. Not at all. The crash from Ollie Behrman in Japan was actually an eye opener that he actually got not injured in that crash. To be fair. So what's your opinion about the new regulations for the next 5 years?
So let's touch on that crash from Ollie Behrman's point of view. If you look at the new regulations, I think the crash was possibly caused by them. If you think about what happened initially, what happened just before, and what happened during the crash, and the ability to sort of draw on that data from the two teams involved. Ollie's team literally were down the throats of F1 and FIA within a few seconds, stating that the car that he was involved in the crash with, because of it having to go into battery saving mode, it came out of that section a lot slower than what it normally would have. Ollie came in at a normal speed that he would be entering and exiting that S-bend, and it all went wrong. So does the new regulations work from a spectacle point of view? I'd have to say it's not bad. However, we had some really good racing before they went to the new specs. We had some phenomenal racing in the past. There's been a lot of umming and ahhing, I think, on various social media platforms where people are, putting them into damnation for the decisions that they've made, and whether or not it was a good decision or bad decision. Unfortunately, you and I don't have the powers to change that. Neither do any of the teams, because I've chatted to a whole bunch of different people on the subject. One of them specifically being F1 Uncovered, and the team that's behind F1 Uncovered basically stipulated, and it actually came from Daniela, who's not as a fay with Formula One as maybe you and I are, and maybe what the viewers and your fans are. And from a lay person's point of view, having only been involved in the F1 Uncovered podcast for the last probably 6 months, she came up with a really, really pertinent suggestion and comment, and that was the fact that the teams themselves were all given an opportunity at the word go to say yes or no to the set of rules that were put in place in front of them, and every single one of them have signed off on these rules, stating that they agree with the rules that are currently in place. They had an opportunity to say no. They had an opportunity to object. They had an opportunity to change the rules. None of them did that. Or let's put it this way, maybe not none of them, but the majority of them did not do that. So now they have to sit with a situation where the decisions that they made are now decisions that they have to live with. So put it in layman's terms, or maybe in people's terms that would understand that. You go to the doctor and you go and see a doctor about a cold, but you go to the dentist instead of going to the doctor. That's the decision that you've made. You have to deal with the repercussions of your actions. And that's what I think a lot of the teams are doing. That's why they're so vocal. I think that's why they're making so much noise about it, is that they've realized that they've made a wrong decision. And possibly the embarrassment factor, and I put that in inverted commas, is now catching them out going, we didn't actually think this through. The teams that did think it through are now benefiting from it. So Mercedes, Ferrari, to a small extent, McLaren. They're all getting to a point where they've gone, we've had teams in Formula E. We've played around with the battery saving mode. We've played around with the options that F1 have given us now. Even in testing, they were trying different things. And the things they tried worked. The things that other teams tried didn't work. So now you've got Max throwing his toys out the cot. You've got all the other teams that are not happy with the current scenario throwing their toys out. But you've got to go back to the original discussion. This didn't happen last year. This has happened for the last 4 or 5 seasons, where they've planned this whole process and spoken about it for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and eventually put it into fruition this year and gone, okay, guys, play on.
Yeah, I must say, I agree with you. It feels like everybody is jumping now on the bandwagon, but like Mercedes and Ferrari had basically, they figured, I think they literally thought, okay, let's throw last season away and basically just focus on this year's car. But for instance, like McLaren, I actually, if you can maybe clarify to me why the cars couldn't do, why the cars weren't allowed on race day, that Oscar and Lando couldn't compete. Was it the engine that was faulty, or was it the battery system that was
Well, to be honest with you, I think it was a bit of both. Because remember, it's no longer a situation where the engine doesn't work in or concurrently with the battery saving mode and the battery power. You've got to take into account that each of those components now make up the power behind the F1 car. So if you have an F1 car that is driven by a V10 engine, okay, and a V10 engine blows, it's only a couple of things that can go wrong for that engine to blow. Now you sit with part and parcel being the engine components. The other part and parcel is the battery components. Sorry, 1 second. And because I've got somebody coming through the garage at the same time. You've got part and parcel of the engine component. You've got part and parcel of the battery component. You've got part and parcel of the battery component that is now a serious scenario that works in conjunction with each other. And if they're working in conjunction with each other, then when it goes wrong on both sides. So they can blame the engine. They can blame, and I'm going to use it as a compartment, the battery compartment. In other words, the power-saving compartment or the hybrid aspect of the car as a problem. They work hand in hand. So it's like when, I think it was Cadillac, that before they came to F1, and that's the other reason why Cadillac could potentially be a big force to be reckoned with, probably within a couple of races' time. They're still finding their feet in terms of the F1 stable, but I'll come back to that now. But when Cadillac were involved with Lamar and they ran that hybrid car, the hybrid engine kicked in as soon as they entered pit lane, so that it would take over the whole section of pit lane. And pit lane at Lamar is a K&a-half long, as you know. So when that car came into pit lane, they switched to hybrid, and the hybrid motor ran. And of course, it ran on the speed limiter, and it entered the pits, and it was quiet, and no one knew it was in there. They'd make the pit stop, they'd roll out, and as soon as they rolled out over the white line, the V8 kicked in. And it was actually deafening how loud that engine turned into as soon as it exited pit lane. So McLaren's problem right there is that it's the same scenario when the rules were around that if you changed an engine, you changed the gearbox, you did some form of change to the car in the old rules, you would be penalized for it. So the penalty stands. So whether it's got to go back of the grid or 2 positions back for whatever the penalty that is now incurred by the team, they have to take that slap on the wrist because they haven't done their homework. And if they haven't done their homework up to now, they're not going to be competitive. But in saying that, they were still competitive. They were still up there. They were still able to run ahead of other cars that were nowhere. You know, if you think about teams that were within the sort of top 10 all of last year, those teams are not even close. I mean, Red Bull they're nowhere. And that's why Max is so frustrated. You know, I think Alonso must be feeling the same way. He was fighting at some point for podiums in the past, and now also nowhere. I was hoping to see, and I've seen a little bit of the light. My favorite driver, of course, being a Hulk fan, is Hulkenberg. He's there and thereabouts in free practice one, in the FP, in the qualifying practices. He's in the top 10. He just can't put it together for qualifying. So there's that option. As I said, look out, and I say this seriously, look out for Cadillac, because remember, Cadillac have done this. They've done it in Le Mans. They podiumed in Le Mans with their hybrid car. So the hybrid technology is not new to them. They know how it works. They're gonna work out eventually. And Steve, when I say that, all the teams are going to do that. You must understand, it's a timed process for the teams to work out exactly how this system works effectively. When they all find out how it works effectively, Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz are going to be in the cock.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with you. They are going to be in big cock. The other thing I wanted to ask you about Audi, and I must say Audi's also been very long in Le Mans and with the hybrid and all that. So, and I must say, I'm very, like, when I watched the launch of Audi, like, literally, like, this CEO, like, he gave a big statement and he said, we want to be champions, not in 5 or 10, we want to be champions in 2 years. So that shows you how they literally scratched off their whole Dakar project and took the money and invested everything into the Formula One team. And I tell you now, like, I see Audi beating Red Bull this season, and then obviously for next season they're gonna go big. I think there's something big coming with Audi and Cadillac.
If you take into account Audi themselves, okay, come from a company that is based in Europe that has no longer any interest in motorsport whatsoever. Okay, take into account that they removed themselves as Volkswagen from all motorsport in Europe. And Volkswagen, of course, are the main body over AG. AG runs Volkswagen, Porsche, Lamborghini, Audi, Seat. All of those big major brands are under one big umbrella company. They'll never take Porsche away because Porsche has got a racing heritage to it, so that's never going to be changed. And the amount of Porsche that race around the world, they can't afford to not be in racing as Porsche worldwide. Audi is the same deal. Remember, Audi is the, and I put this in very tongue-in-cheek, it's the upgraded version of Volkswagen. So if you want to go and buy a car and you go and buy an Audi Passat, a Volkswagen Passat, and you buy an Audi A4, it's exactly the same car. The only difference is in Audi, you're paying for all the extras. In Volkswagen, you get it all for free. So with Audi, yes, taking all of that budget and saying, right, we've done Dakar, didn't work for us. We've done Le Mans, we were exceptionally successful at Le Mans. Let's go F1. Audi's decision to go to F1 was not a willy-nilly one. And as you said, I don't think their CEO was wrong in saying that if they're going to put all that money into F1 and not expect results within the first 2 seasons, they'll be gone. Let me tell you, they will be gone. They will not play around in F1 forever and ever and ever trying to win championships. If they don't make it to the front end by year 2 or year 3, they'll be gone. And that's another big factor that people don't realize. I don't think people realize the negotiation process that happens behind the scenes that we never get any leaked info about or gets to press is when the Americans took over F1, they've changed the whole look and feel of what Formula One is in terms of just being a race. It's no longer just a race. It's now a whole entertainment package that comes with F1. I said it in our podcast, if you watched it a while ago on our Commentators Curse podcast, and I've said it on numerous occasions before as well. Formula One would never have gone to Las Vegas had it just been a Formula One race. Las Vegas is an extravaganza of motorsport. but it brings in the lifestyle aspect that Monaco holds and the racing aspect and heritage that other street circuits have had in the past, like Canada, Adelaide, all those street circuits that they've raced on in the past, Mexico City, those kind of things. Okay, hopefully, and between you and I and everybody watching the podcast, Cape Town real soon as well. Okay?
Yeah, Cape Town.
Because
Not God Army, Cape Town.
if there's one's coming, it's only coming to Cape Town, but we'll get to that now. But going back to the Audi thing, Audi have never gone into anything in motorsport without the number one goal being winning the world championship in that sport. And every sport they've been into, that's exactly what they've done. So German touring cars, wrapped up. International touring cars, wrapped up. Sports cars, wrapped up. Endurance championship, wrapped up. Le Mans, done. Deal, finished and clear. F1 is going to be an Audi championship very soon. You're spot on in your interpretation and what you think in terms of your prediction on that, buddy. I can tell you.
Yeah, I must always been a Audi fan, and when I heard the news that Audi's coming in, and I literally told my co-host, I tell you now that like Hulkenberg is what, 37. If he didn't knew all the stuff behind the scenes, what Audi actually is putting into that package, he would have not said no to drive for Audi. So I think he knows this is his biggest chance to win a championship. And and like you said, I'm a big Hulkenberg fan. Same with Bortoleto. I think that guy's phenomenal. And I'm really excited to see what the only thing that was a bit shocking to me, and it's actually a bit of a sellout move, is the team principal for Audi that went to Aston Martin. I mean, he.
That's not a sellout, man. Not a sellout. That's Formula One. Where's the money?
I know, but
if somebody comes to Hulkenberg tomorrow and offers him twice the money he's getting at Audi, do you think he's going to stay at Audi? Not a chance. Not a chance, man.
Remember, he literally worked with that whole team for a year, and now Stroll daddy comes and says, "Okay, listen here." But the best part is when they say to the media now, the one guy left due to personal reasons, and then he joins the other team. I mean, really, what personal reasons did you have? Money. Yeah.
Make it rain, baby. Make it rain.
Yeah, it's the same with Aston Martin. I don't know what's going on with Aston Martin at the moment. I mean, that car looks like it's made out of carbon fiber. No, not even carbon fiber. It's just a shell standing there, and I think it's doing so much damage to Alonso's name and what Alonso stands for. And I feel it feels like he wants to step away now. And I think he's literally he's thoughtful with Stroll, because the thing is, it's like fighting with a door, because obviously Lance Stroll is going nowhere. So, because if you're not going to get him out, that team is not going to change.
No. And of course, they're not going to get him out because that's where the money is.
Yeah. And there's one word that my mom always taught me that is that I believe in, and I really look after what stuff I do in life, is insanity. So Lance Stroll's dad is busy getting insanity because he doesn't listen, and he does the things all over and over and over and over. And I mean, I bet you now $1,000, Greg, if they're gonna kick Lance Stroll out, that team will be something else of a team. I think the bonding, the relationship, everybody. The thing is, it's like, you playing now first team rugby, and your dad built a stadium, so you need, like, You don't need to put effort
Yeah.
in training. You just rock up there, that is very unprofessional. And at the moment, I feel for Aston Martin, because I mean, the like the history behind the name is so much, and now you get Lance Strolls that is literally destroying that whole heritage. And I mean, Adrian Newey should have known better. I mean, he had a year building that car. How can you build a car from scratch? I mean, in a year, and it is so crap. I mean, there's nothing they can do. I don't know what else you can do with the car.
Zane. The problem is he's limited by what he's allowed to do and what he's not allowed to do. And if anybody can bend the rules or find a way to make a car work better, you can't ask for a better man than Adrian Newey. Okay, you sit with a scenario where the best that they can do to that car has been done. Whether that works or not, you can see in the pudding. It's not working. So they've got to go back to that drawing board and go, okay, where did we go wrong here? What are the other teams doing that are making this car work to the spec that we're allowed to build to? Because that's the other thing. You can't go past what the spec allows you to do. And then you sit with the situation, well, if that's all I can do, and this is the best I can provide, as Adrian Newey, one of the best car builders in the world ever, if he can't get it right, then who can? What are the teams that are getting it right? What have they done that are giving them the results? I mean, you put in I want to say a complete rookie, but he's not a complete rookie, but you put a rookie behind the wheel of a Mercedes-Benz and he goes blitzes people right from the word go. What was that oak having for breakfast? Did he put some Red Bull or some Monster on his cornflakes or something? Because I have no idea. Something worked because he came out of nowhere and they just couldn't catch him. They just had no idea. But therein lies my point I made earlier on, is the teams that have had the ability to test this technology in other forms of motorsport are well on their way, as opposed to the teams that didn't. Because they've seen, heard, taken information, processed information, used that information correctly, and put it into practice. And it's working for them. Whereas the teams that haven't had that ability are now having to play catch-up. Playing catch-up during race season doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. You've got to have done your homework before you even put the car onto the road for the first time in testing, never mind in the first Grand Prix. In the testing phase, you could see already dominant factors coming through. And drivers that were not normally in the top 10, or all of a sudden in that top 10. And they're going, well, I'm happy. It's leveled the playing field. I don't have to fight Red Bull. I don't have to fight McLaren. I don't have to fight a little bit Ferrari. I don't have to fight Mercedes, because they were the dominant force. No doubt about it. Yes, on a few occasions at tracks where drivers have got an affinity for a track, you had the Alonsos of the world popping up. You had a couple of other guys jumping onto the podium that weren't supposed to be there that all of a sudden came into it. But it was literally a 6-horse race last year, if you take it into account. And those 6 horses had the dominant force in terms of cars that were built. Now, 2 of those cars are not even featuring. And now I also saw, I think it was today or yesterday, I saw a post going out that, hang on, all of a sudden they've gone back to a certain Red Bull manager and said to him, listen, would you mind coming back? Because maybe you weren't so bad, I don't know if Red Bull's going to take him back or somebody else is going to poach him. But there's definitely an option for, a change up in management on a few occasions. Toto seems to be pretty happy. He's living the life of luxury right now. He can do nothing wrong. And I don't know. Even the Yankees that are behind McLaren are pretty stoked with their performance, even though they're not where they want to be, and their number one car is not in the number one position it was in last year, or fighting for at least the number one position. I really think we're going to need some time here. It's not a black and white scenario here. There's a lot of gray. There's a lot of gray areas here in these new rules. And once those black and whites have been merged into the gray, or there's a definite black and white that comes out of it at the end of the day, then we're going to see a different scenario to the sport. And I mean, as we spoke about it as well with that team that I chatted to, they were saying, when the rules changed, when was it? 2014, I think it was the last big rule change, when they went away from the V10s and went back to the V8s or whatever it was. I can't remember what the rule change was. At that point, anytime rules change, you're going to have flack. You always will. No matter whether you love the sport or you hate the sport, or you're a new person to the sport, or you're an old F1 supporter like you and I are. The people and the powers that be are going to take scrutiny, and it could be bad or good. But in F1's point of view, they don't see bad criticism as bad press. They are providing, and this is where the dilemma lies. They are providing Formula One races that have now got 160 to 170 overtakes per race, whereas previously you were lucky to get 10.
Yeah, that is true. I think I mean, why can't we go back to the days when Hakkinen and Schumi were racing? I mean, that was phenomenal racing. I mean, I think just scrap the whole battery thing and just go back to even V8 engines. And I mean, even bring, I don't know, with all the rule changes and stuff that they will bring back fueling and stuff, but make it interesting for the fans. Say, okay, you must pit so many times, you must use this tires. But now, I mean, let's be honest, that accident with Behrman, he could have get badly injured. I think he's very likely to walk away from.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it looked like Colapinto were basically trying to block him, and actually his car was stalling on the straight. And I was like, what? I mean, yeah. I mean, and he's like, oh no, I didn't. I mean, you could have seen when Behrman came up, he didn't know where to go. Like, I think Colapinto's also lucky to walk away, because that would have been a big accident. And another thing that I don't understand is with the starting, with the blue lights. So now you basically, there's blue lights and then the lights go out. Now, I mean, now it takes 5 seconds to start your car. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean,
it makes no sense to anybody. I don't know why they changed the rules. As I said, they had a formula that was working well. Yes, it was dominated by 3 teams, but for them to go and change those rules and to go the way they've gone, as I said, this is a whole discussion process that's happened over the last 5 years. It has not happened overnight. It didn't happen over the last 6 months either. But within the last 6 months, the final I's had to be dotted and the T's had to be crossed, and everybody had to sign off on it. And that's what the F1 teams did. They all signed off on it. So we came into 2026 going, new rules, let's see what happens. And everybody went, what was that? That is not F1. And it's not. It's not F1, for sure. It's not F1 that you and I, as petrol heads and avid motorsport fans, know as what Formula One is. Formula One is the epitome of the sport. The epitome of the sport is no holds barred. You put a set of rules together and you let those guys run with the ragged edge of those rules. But you police them so that they don't break the rules. They can bend them, but they can't break them. And the teams that found the way to bend those rules won championships. No doubt about it. Whether it was to find a better driver, whether it was to find a better engine, and think about how many guys have gone into different forms of engines. There's engine suppliers coming from factory teams. Same thing happens in MotoGP. Okay, we've got a championship-winning bike. Right, we'd like to buy those championship-winning bikes. So the next year, we've now got 9 Ducatis on the grid, or 10 Ducatis on the grid, whereas we only had 2 at the start. Same thing applies. Ferrari power, Mercedes-Benz power, Honda power, Ford power, now Audi. Now we got Aston Martin. Now we've got Cadillac coming in. All of those things play into account. There's no doubt about it. And as I said, we are contemplating, what is it, fourth? We're going to the fourth race now. Fourth race of the season. We're contemplating going into the fourth race of the season what has been discussed for the last 5 years, and we're going, this is not working. But we haven't given it a full season. And I would say it's going to probably need a full 2 seasons before we see the benefits of what the entertainment aspect of the sport is going to be provided with, or the provision is going to come with. You're going to look at, we're going to probably have this discussion in 2 years' time going, yes, were we wrong?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's the case. Steve, I've got to say, I hope that's the case. I don't know. All we can do, of course, is speculate right now. Right now, Formula One is, for a old school Formula One fan, horrible. But for the new fan that's coming to watch the entertainment and spectacular and extravaganza that Formula One brings to each country that it goes to, hey, it's not so bad. I want to be there. I can hang around with multimillionaires and film stars and sports stars and blah, 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 and I can buy a VIP suite that looks like I'm on the streets, well, I'm on the streets of Vegas, but it looks like I'm in Monaco with a yacht club built in the middle of the street circuit in Las Vegas. Or I can go to a well-known Formula One circuit. Let's use Silverstone as probably the worst example, but probably one that's going to have to do some serious maneuvering when they get there. Or Spa, what are they going to do that's going to make it entertaining? I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to bring the extravaganza to the party. They're going to have to do what Lamar does for 5 days and what Lamar does for the entertainment factor that comes in for the 24-hour. And there's got to have to be funfair, merchandise stands, rock bands, rock concerts, whatever.
Everything.
All that is the selling point that Formula One now lives by. What happens on the tarmac is just the final tick in the box.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not the be all and end all.
I've spoken to my manager the other day about Live Golf because they were there. And he said to me, a setup like that for the 5 days must have been easy 200-300 million. So why can't our government just also take the money and invest it it has to be in Cape Town because they did Formula E and you did the commentating on Formula E and stuff. So why can't we just use Cape Town circuit again?
No, that's exactly what I said. I've said that from the start. I said Kyalami, as much as the history and heritage of Formula One is at Kyalami, it's the only selling factor Kyalami has. And it's not big enough for Formula One's organizing and owners to take Kyalami into account when you bring an extravaganza that is now Formula One. Formula One, in no doubt, and I've got no problem with Kyalami. I love Kyalami. It's one of my favorite circuits in the world. I love driving it. I love being there. I love talking about it. I love being involved in whatever they do, whether it's a show, whether it's a motorsport event, whether it's a national motorsport event. That makes no difference to me. Kyalami is in my heart forever and ever and ever. But if South Africa wants a Formula One Grand Prix, I can tell you right now, it is not going to go to Kyalami. It will come to Cape Town. The street circuit that Formula E ran will be extended by 2.1 Ks into Sea Point, and you will have a street circuit in Cape Town. Why? Because you've got the ability to do the extravaganza that Formula One wants. And the tourism side of things and the return on investment is 100-fold compared to what you get if you come to Johannesburg.
Yeah, you live in Joburg as well. What you gonna do there for a week when you? It's what the lion farm or what in Sun City. I mean, here in Cape Town, there's wine farms. I mean, there's the waterfront, Table Mountain. There's so much to do in Cape Town. So, I mean, logistic wise, I don't see it will be hard. I think the only concern is the ticket price. I mean, I think you can, because I wasn't out the Formula E, you were, but I think the tickets were at that time, I think 3,000 Rand or 4,000 Rand. But how much would you say will the tickets then cost for F1, say for a weekend pass?
Okay, so let me come back to you with a similar question. How much money are you willing to spend to go and watch Formula One in your home country?
Sure.
Because it will be the cheapest Formula One Grand Prix you can go to.
Oh, really?
Think about it. You go anywhere else, it's a plane ticket. You're not going to go on your own. You're going to go with a mate. So it's 2 plane tickets. A plane ticket to fly to London right now, I've just done the maths because I'm doing my TT preparation, is 35,000 Rand return.
Oh, my word.
Okay, then you've got to find accommodation. You have to find a hire car or use the bus system or the train system to get to Silverstone. Then you've got to find accommodation around Silverstone, which is not easy to do. Rob and I spent almost 6 hours driving around trying to find a place to stay, even though he'd booked what was, according to the Airbnb system, a 5-star Airbnb. It was, I can live in my garage that I'm sitting in right now in more comfort than what I was when I walked into the building of that Airbnb. Okay? Then you need spending money at 23-1. Okay. So spending money at 23-1 means you can spend on my salary and on your salary, maybe, I don't know what you earn, but on an average Joe's salary in South Africa, you're going to have to survive on 5 to 10 pounds a day, because that's all you're going to be able to afford. 5 to 10 pounds a day buys you a packet of crisps, a can of Coke, and a sandwich, Woolworths-style sandwich. That's 5 pounds.
No.
You haven't eaten breakfast and you haven't eaten dinner. That's your lunch only. And at the track, it's 3 times the price because you're at Formula One now. At MotoGP last year at Silverstone, they had an F1 store there. The most expensive shirt in the F1 store was a number 44 Ferrari shirt.
Not then.
35 pounds for that shirt.
No,
A
man.
Marquez 93 t-shirt was 20 pounds. So you explain to me where you think people are going to be upset about paying up to, I would say, 7,000 Rand a ticket to be a Formula One weekend pass for Cape Town. It'd probably be more, but I'm going to stick around the 5 to 7,000 Rand per weekend pass if you want to go to Formula One in Cape Town.
Yes, that's actually then cheap. Yo.
When you take into account if you got to go anywhere else to watch Formula One, it is. It's for nothing.
I mean, I know my brother-in-law, when he did a working business in Vegas, they took him to the NASCAR, and I think their ticket was like, just for the day, $200. And he was like, and then the beer's like $20. Then he's like, then it's a race is another 4 hours. He said to me, it's the most boring thing he has ever done in his life. Is going to a NASCAR event. He's like, in the beginning it's ooh and ah, and then later you just see people drinking beer and talking nonsense.
So take into account, you go to NASCAR. Let's say you go to one of the big ones. You go to Daytona, or you go to Charlotte, or you go to Indianapolis, or you go to one of the big circuits. Okay, I'll take Charlotte as an example because it's the one that I know well. At Charlotte Speedway and at Daytona, to get a ticket, first of all, you have to be able to buy the ones that are allocated that are left, because the ones that are left are the ones that are not taken by people who own the seats in the grandstands. And those people that own the seats in the grandstands only lose the ownership of their seats if they fail to pass down the seat in their will to their next of kin. That's how popular NASCAR is. So if you think Formula One is big, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to NASCAR in the States. That's why America's got it 3 times, because they're trying to build up the Formula One fan base. And the next thing you're going to see is a Formula One American driver coming very soon. If there's not a Formula One American driver by next season, I can tell you right now, they're not doing their preparation and their marketing and PR correctly, because what sells Formula One tickets and what sells MotoGP tickets and what sells World Superbike tickets is American riders and American drivers. You have to have an American. Fortunately, we have an American running a team, and we have an American brand involved in the team. So that might help them a little bit. But until you put an American driver into a Formula One car, you are not going to have any sales like you have at NASCAR. NASCAR and IndyCar sell out 3 years in advance.
Oh my word.
You're never going to get a seat. Not a chance. How your brother-in-law got a seat, I have no idea, because I can tell you right now, those tickets are like hen's teeth. I don't know what circuit he went to.
He went to Vegas.
So Vegas, basically, you'd probably have 2-year waiting list.
Yeah.
And somebody must have been on that waiting list, or they scalped tickets at the gate.
No. So he worked for a tequila company, and he had to go with the customers and stuff. So obviously the tequila.
They made a plan.
Yeah. So that's
there are those scenarios, but those are VIP tickets.
Yeah. It's not.
So to buy those VIP tickets, you're going to spend more money than the normal person would be.
Yeah. Tell me, Greg, what is the difference? Because that's one thing I don't understand. I'm trying to watch it, but I can't get into it, because I mean, if I need the spotter the whole time on my ear while I'm racing, I will go nuts. It's IndyCar. What is the difference between IndyCar and Formula One?
So IndyCar basically runs on oval tracks and street circuits. Formula One only runs on street circuits and normal circuits. So IndyCar basically it's a single seater, very similar to an F1. Right now, more powerful than an F1.
Really?
Yeah, because of the engines that they run. They don't run the hybrid system. And able to do 380 k's an hour on a banked oval.
Jeez.
Yes, so Formula One can do 360 down the straight at the big straights where we've got them on various circuits, Bahrain and those kind of circuits, Malaysia. So those tracks, you'll get the top speed of an F1 in the old days. I don't know what the top speed are going to be these days, because they're going to be a lot less, I think, because they don't have the same power differential that they had before. But in saying that, the IndyCar factor is based very similar to the NASCAR factor, and that is American drivers in an American series run by American promoters. And American promoters, Steve, if you take any American sport in the world, you will not better the marketing and PR machine that runs those sports. So remember, I'm going to mention other sports that require 1 ball as opposed to 2. NBA, NFL,
MMA,
baseball,
yeah,
hockey, ice hockey, that is, okay, and WWE.
Yeah.
Say no more. The 5 biggest sports in the world. Live Golf, with an American aspect to it as well. Not all the way. It's mainly Middle Eastern, but there's American aspect to it. And let's throw in one more. What's going on right here?
UFC?
Yeah?
Yeah, UFC is also... I heard the way Dana White operates his stuff. I mean, he's gonna do a White House guard now. Imagine the security.
Exactly. Just take into account. I mean, you've got a big following that has a UFC side of it as well.
Yeah.
That alone, that PR machine that runs those series, you don't need to do anything more. College basketball has more following than Formula One has in America.
Yes. No.
Take into account when the late, great Nicky Hayden was still racing MotoGP. They had one American Grand Prix. It was sold out. They'd never sold an American Grand Prix out since the days of Kevin Schwantz and Wayne Rainey. So every time they went to America, it would be a flop. They put Nicky Hayden onto a Honda. They put Nicky Hayden onto Ducati, and the thing was sold out, buddy. Sold out. And then he won the championship. couldn't ask for better than that. American fans sold on MotoGP from there on.
Yeah, I must say, I was a big fan of Nicky. I think he was him and Colin Edwards, I think,
Yeah.
was the leaders in MotoGP.
But Colin Edwards was World Superbikes. So the same thing applied there. For World Superbikes to sell bikes in America, they had to have an American round and they had to have American riders riding them. So you had Ben Bostrom, Colin Edwards, Ben Spies, all coming into World Superbikes. What happens is, what wins on Sunday sells on Monday.
Tell me, Greg, talking about the MotoGP, I saw on the news, I don't know if you saw, but so basically the MotoGP is gonna do racing on the Australian track as well now, the Melbourne one.
Yeah.
Do you think that is a mistake, or because it looks very dangerous, to be honest?
So who owns Formula One?
Oh yeah, Americans.
Liberty.
Yeah.
Who owns a MotoGP?
Liberty
Same
Media.
company.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? They're testing the waters. They haven't had a MotoGP street race.
No.
So they're going to try it.
Do you think it's going to work? I mean,
if it works, great. If it works, it's fantastic for us. It means you can bring it to Cape Town.
You talked about are you going to the Isle of Man this year?
Yes.
Are you doing also commentating that for the event, or are you just going for spectate?
No, I'm going to cover the event for Motor Rider World. I'm going to do a little bit of coverage for Alan John, our rider. And I'm going to hopefully have another opportunity to jump on the mic with Manx Radio, which is the radio station that runs the trackside and PA commentary around the island.
Okay. And tell me, have you been there every year now? Or?
I've done 2018, and then I did the last 3 years. So this will be my fourth one.
Tell me, do they actually win money if they win that thing, or it's just like a trophy that you get? Because
they get a trophy, but then they win from their sponsors. So it works on a situation that if you win on X bike, you get X amount of money. If you win on X bike sponsored by Marvel, by Pocket Rocket, by Dunlop, by whatever it is, your incentives come from your sponsors and partners. There's no actual prize funds that go into the riders getting money from the race win organizers.
Yeah, because
it's the prestige of winning the Isle of Man that they go for.
The thing is, Greg, I saw some of her videos on YouTube, and where the people crash and actually die. I mean, yeah, it's scary, to be honest. Like, how do you get the balls to do that? I mean, you're going 300, 380, and there's some part of that straight that actually has jumps, and they literally jump.
You understand? You're riding on village roads. There's no racetrack. It's a village road or a little town's road, and the road between the two towns makes up the second part of the track and the third part of the track. So you're riding on. I'll give you an example. Take a drive down Seaview and go down to Camps Bay. That road that they're busy doing all the roadworks on, and they're busy doing all the altercations and alterations to those houses on the side of the cliff. That's how wide the road is that they race on.
Oh, no.
Okay, there's no space. So that's why they call it between the hedges. When there's no space to play and there's no room for error, you make an error, it will cost you your life. And touch wood, we don't lose anybody this year. We didn't lose anybody last year, but the year before we lost 3 people. It's a situation where everybody goes, how long can they let this run for? How long can they let this run for? Well, they'll let it run for as long as they want to, because the riders are going to do it no matter what. So they've given up on that argument. The riders basically say, well, if you don't like what we do, stay at home and cut your lawn, because this is what we do. But when that rider rolls up to no man's land, which is the last 10 meters before the start gate, and he rolls up to the marshal that's in that start gate, and that marshal goes to let him off, that might be the last touch a human has with you ever in your life. That's how dangerous it is. You then go for 60 Ks 37.75 miles, 60 kilometers, averaging 136 miles an hour, which is 221 kilometers an hour, average speed for 60 Ks. And you lap in less than 18 minutes. An 18-minute lap is what you're doing at Isle of Man.
Good Lord.
That's the difference between Formula One, MotoGP, World Superbikes, and what is the last gladiators of motorsport. And that's a TT rider.
No, definitely. I must say, I think the balls that guys must have. I mean, there's no practice that you actually can do for it. So it's basically, come alive.
The practice they got is a week before. They have nightly, and remember this runs at night, so they don't run during the day because it's normal. The roads are normally used during the day as normal roads. So they shut the roads off at 3 o'clock. They start practice at 4. They run until almost 9:30 at night. But remember, 9:30 at night in Isle of Man, it's bright sunshine still. So you run for five and a half hours, 5.5 hours in light. Okay, that's if there's no rain or there's no cloud cover or there's not a crash or anything like that that causes the session to be stopped. So if you get 5 days of practice, if you're running in all the classes that most of the top riders run in, that means you'll get maybe 10 to 12 laps on the 4 different motorcycles or the 5 different motorcycles you got to race. Because remember, they run a super bike. They run a super. It's not even a super. What do they call it now? It's not even a super sport class anymore. It was what was originally the 600 class. But because the manufacturers have now come out with triples and twins that are still able to run, it's now, I think it's called a super. I can't remember what the wording is. In fact, whatever it's called. Anyway, there's that class. You have a super stock class, which is a stock 1000cc. You have a super bike class, which is a super bike basically with some modifications. You have sidecars. You have twins. And you have the Formula One, which is the TT, basically, the top end, okay? So if your name is Michael Dunlop or Davey Todd or Peter Hickman, you run in every single one of those classes. So you'll run a super bike, you'll run a super stock, you'll run a super sport, you'll run an unlimited, and you'll run a twin. So that's 5 bikes you've got to get practice in 5 days with an hour and a half session or an hour session per class. So you're lucky on some nights to get 3 laps in or 4 laps in.
Sure.
Then you've got to swap bikes and get onto the next bike and try and get 1 or 2 laps in the next bike. So let's say everything goes according to plan. There's no issues with the weather. There's no issues with any stoppages due to injuries or red flags. But you get in your 10 or 12 laps for the practice week. That's the only practice you get. Other than during the day, if you climb in a car and you try and drive the track. Driving the track and riding the track at full speed is a whole different scenario, bud.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. Greg, before we go, I just want you to give me your prediction for the rest of the year. Who do you think is going to win the Formula One season? And what is your expectation for next season?
So I think from a Formula One point of view, you're going to have a fight on between those 3 big houses. But don't count out, as we said, some new teams coming to throw into the mix a little bit. I'm expecting to see Hülkenberg at least up there in the Audi at some point on the podium. I'm hoping that we'll get Bottas up there as well. I definitely want to see an improvement coming out of the other teams that were threats last year that have done nothing this year. So let's see what Red Bull can do. Let's see what Alpha can do. Let's see what any of the other teams that are battling at the moment can do. Once their engineers and their technicians and their gurus who sit like you and I are right now in front of a laptop during the race going, okay, slow down, okay, speed up, okay, save battery, okay, do this or do that. That's exactly what they did in Formula E. So you spoke about the spotters in IndyCar. There's constant information being passed on to those drivers now, probably more than ever before, because they need to know exactly what they can and can't do in those cars, because otherwise they're going to run out of power and you're going to cause accidents, they're going to cause incidents. In terms of who's going to win, Yeah, I can't give you that because I don't think it's going to be the guy who's winning at the moment. He's been very lucky to have the right car at the right time.
Lando.
So I think you'll see an improvement coming out of Lando and out of Oscar. I'm hoping to see at least one Ferrari or two Ferrari victories, preferably out of Leclerc as opposed to the other guy. I'm not a big fan of his. But I'm changing my mind though. I got to say that. And it's not a case of that I like him as a person or as a driver, but I like the fact that he has a South African need. Let's put it that way. And he's very much behind the push to get F1 here.
Yeah.
So I do like that factor. That's probably why I've changed my mind a little bit about him. But it's on a similar vein to Marquez. I don't like Marquez at all. He's a phenomenal rider, but I just don't like him as a person and as a personality. However, in terms of the changes that are going to come, they're definitely coming. I think we'll be having a different conversation, as I said, in 2 years' time. Once everything's settled down and the other teams have worked out the nitty-gritty of what to do to make these cars work. In terms of the manufacturer side of things, yeah, that's wide open. Because if Audi finds that loophole, they're going to be there. If Cadillac finds a loophole, they're going to be there. If Aston Martin finds a loophole, they're going to be there. But it's the missing pieces that they don't have right now in the other teams. When they put those puzzle pieces into place, the 150, 160 passes per race are going to turn into 250, 260 passes per race. You're going to have a 9 or 10-way battle for racing like you had in Formula E. Remember Formula E? It all looked boring. It didn't sound great because there was no engine roar. But when you sat on the side of that track in Cape Town and watched those cars battle, basically wheel to wheel, for the 25, 30 laps that they raced, it's great entertainment. And I think that's the biggest win here, is that we don't need to necessarily, dissect Formula One from the rules point of view, from what's happening in Formula One. Let's look at Formula One as a show. And the show is pretty good.
Before we, there's two things I wanted to ask you before we go. Where can people find you on social media? And then the last question I have for you is, for all the young people watching the podcast now, how can they get involved? Say, for instance, if they don't have the necessary funds to take part in motorsport, but want to be like involved with media or commentating, how can they get involved?
Okay, so to answer the first part of your question, I'm on Insta, I'm on Facebook, and on TikTok. They all fall under my name. My Facebook page has got the Voice of Choice on the back of that. So if you want to get me on, that's my actual page. But if you get me on my normal page, I'll direct you back to the Voice of Choice page. That's where I'll do most of my work over the next couple of months, where I'm going to Isle of Man and to all the other international events I've got coming up. Instagram is Maloney Greg. It's the other way around. So it's just my name, surname first and Greg second. I'm not 100% on Insta at the moment, but I am finding a lot of interaction and engagement coming out of the stuff I've been putting there. So it will increase going into the TT, because I'm getting a lot of interest on the Instagram side of things. So there'll be a bit more emphasis from my Instagram page than what there has been. I'm getting huge amounts on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, just go and find the Voice of Choice, or it'll also maybe come up as FAST, which is an acronym for Fast Adrenaline Sport Technology. You'll find it there. And just send me a friend request. And if you want to, the best way to contact me is via my Facebook page. I have got a WhatsApp line on there as well. So if you're interested in getting involved in motorsport, or you want some media advice, what to do in terms of starting your own blog, what to do in terms of starting your own media thing. My daughter's been doing it now since she was 8. So she's the youngest motor journalist in the world, accredited. And she's now turned 13. So for 5 years, she's been doing it on a very low-key basis. But we're building up her fan base and her knowledge on the sport. And slowly but surely, hopefully, we'll get her into a similar situation to where I am, where she can hold her own and can do what I do on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. Anybody who wants to get involved in commentary, just feel free to send me a WhatsApp and send me your details. I'll come back to you. If I don't get back to you immediately, I'll definitely come back to you. We are sadly lacking in the commentators field, unfortunately, and there's quite a bit of room for some people who think they've got what it takes, but we need to test you. So I've had about 6 or 7 last year that came on board and said they can do it, and they were all good to go, and they know exactly what to do and what to say, and you put a microphone in front of them, and
Yeah.
So I need the ability to test you. So you need to let me know where you are, where you're based. I need to send you some stuff. You need to send me a test run, or you come and join me and just shadow me for the day. That's also available at some of the tracks that I go to. They're quite happy for me to bring along some youngsters or even some older people that want to do this and think they've got what it takes. Remember that you've got to be able to hold your own in sprint races up to 10 to 15 laps and still be able to talk about it when there's only 4 cars on a grid and they're spread out by 2.5 minutes each. You need to still be able to talk and make it exciting. So that's the deal. But yeah, please feel free. And if you can't get hold of me, of course, just grab hold of Chicken Wing, and he'll put you in touch with me.
Greg, thank you so much for your time, and you must have a enjoy Isle of Man. Hopefully I will see you probably at the next Nationals. So yeah, thank you for having the time to chat to me, and you must have a lekker week, and speak to you again, brother.
Take care then. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye.